When you're able to withstand society's social pressure to fit in and to not stand out, when you're able to just go against the grain and be standalone, especially with the things that I'm talking about, you know, not drinking alcohol and going out and still being yourself, putting yourself out there, being willing to wake up and sacrifice all the party nights and all the parties and celebrations and all the quote unquote good times and fun times to put yourself out there, work extremely hard, go out on a limb and sacrifice things, risk and be entrepreneurial. When you're willing to put yourself out there against society's social pressure, especially in today's age with the internet, you've got you're risking and going viral. That definitely turns you into a different kind of animal mentally. You stop giving a fuck about people's opinions of you. You stop caring about all that. Like, I noticed I could just shut off that part of my brain, but I've been able to do that for years, ever since I was involved in the cold approach pickup back in 2012 or 2011, 2012. That's when I started, when my eyes were opened in that sense. I didn't realize that you could actually improve your social skills. I didn't know that that was a skill that you could improve back then. I just thought people were gifted. Some people had it and some people didn't. But then I saw Owen Cook's videos and I started to listen to what he and the people that used to work with him were talking about, and then I realized that some things that they were talking about did happen to me, and that I didn't realize that them things are effects of certain causes. Basically, you'll have better social interactions and outcomes if you make the right decisions and do the necessary work and put yourself out there. Block out society's pressure against you breaking out of the box, and always push yourself and break out the box and be someone that's different and be yourself unapologetically and not in a fearful way or anything like that. That will turn you into an absolute beast, especially in today's age where everyone's just trying to be a cookie cutter version of who they're supposed to be, you know, in society's eyes. I'm kind of anti that, you know. I'm just trying to be one of one. There's just one of me. There's no one. I mean, you can try and copy me, but there's no chance that you're going to be able to, because I am me. You know, like what you see is what you get. I don't have a script. Like right now, I'm just going off the top, improvising. That's what I say. Improvisation is a huge skill as well. When you learn to improvise, or when you learn to let go and take off the filter that is in your mind. Sometimes you don't always have to take it off. You shouldn't always take it off. Sometimes it's good to think before you speak, many times, but sometimes it's also good to be able to improvise, depending on the setting, depending on the situation. You got to understand, in life there's no black and white. There's always grey areas. There's always some truths are true in some situations and some truths are true in other situations. You know, there's no one general rule for every situation. And yeah, that being said, if you really want to be someone that's standalone and sovereign and your own man, you've got to protect your energy in every single sense of the phrase. Protect what comes into your body through the food that you eat, what you drink. You should not be drinking alcohol at all. That's my opinion, each to their own, but my opinion is that if you really want to be strong, you shouldn't depend on alcohol. You shouldn't depend on any externalities. That's what I always bang on about. You should be able to regulate your emotions internally through your own mental processes. You shouldn't depend on medication or anything. This is my opinion. I'm not saying that this necessarily has to be for every single person in the world, but I think, for example, the term depression is overhyped. I think you shouldn't give it too much time of day. If you're not feeling good on that day or whatever, you shouldn't ruminate too much on the whole depression thing. You should just get on with your day. But then maybe I'm evil for thinking that, no? Or maybe that's something that would be useful to the people that are identifying with being depressed. But anyway, what I was trying to say is about protecting your energy. You know, contraction, expansion, you know, rest is super important. You don't want to wear yourself out too thin. the information that you consume, you need to protect that. You need to filter that out a lot. Super important, that, especially when you're trying to be one of one and trying to build something. You've got to filter out all the information that is not conducive towards the goal that you're trying to achieve. Anyone that's trying to instill any kind of doubts in you, you need to block that out immediately. You shouldn't let any doubt in. You protect your energy with the people that you surround yourself with as well. You shouldn't let certain people too close, because they will sabotage you. Even if they don't consciously realize that they would do that, you know, they will sabotage you. When the opportunity is presented to them, they're not the type of people that will consciously reject the sabotage opportunity. They will capitalize on the sabotaging opportunity, because that's just how they're wired. They don't have the necessary self-work, the internal work to understand what it takes to get to where you got to. And they don't have the self-belief that they can achieve something themselves. So when they get the chance to, they're going to feel like they are going to get a win when they sabotage you. Exactly in the right moment as well. They'll put like the fork in your neck when you're down. So you've got to watch out who you let too close. You shouldn't let people too close to you. That's another thing that you need to protect your energy with certain people. Not everyone. You've got to be able to be vulnerable with some people. It's important, isn't it, to have meaningful relationships, but make sure it's the right type of people. And the only way that you're going to be able to filter out the right and the wrong type of people is by getting out and failing and fucking up many times and learning what kind of people are the right kind of people. But then again, there's also a lot of good information on the internet nowadays. So if you just find good sources of information, you can definitely shortcut a lot of these failures or setbacks that have happened to the people that want to achieve great things. That's a huge advantage to listening to people that have already walked the journey, or, you know, completed the journey. They are going to give you unique tips and tricks and hints on things that you should avoid and things that you should worry about or not worry about, not waste your time on. But yeah, protect your energy. No alcohol, no drugs, no cigarettes, no pills, no jealous people, to the point that's within your power. Because a lot of people, obviously, we've got to work, and sometimes you've got work jobs with people that are just random people that you've got to share your space with, and you've got to work because you've got to have money to maneuver through the world. So it just is what it is, isn't it? But at least realize if the people that you're working with are kind of negative people, you know, like black holes energetically, you can just tell, you know, some people are just not, they don't have that self-belief. When you're working, you know, like with certain people, they're not going to be too happy about seeing you doing well. And that can come across as well as in various different ways, you know, that can get communicated. Sometimes it's unexpected, it's surprising the way that people behave, because you think that they're being friendly to you or something like that, but what they're doing really is they're being ultra fake. They're trying to block out that internal jealousy feeling. They're overcompensating by being over friendly. There's an underlying resentment there. It's just is what it is. You got to be able to see things for what they are. When you come into contact with people like that, just fuck them, man. I don't think there's anything that you can do. Just try and be your best self and try and stay as positive as you can in those situations as well. Understand where they're coming from. Don't make it worse. If anything, you know, like have a little bit of sympathy and show respect either way, and don't react to it. That's another one. Yeah, don't react to it. It's like as if you're dealing with children, so you've got to be kind of understanding with their negativity. They'll snap out of it eventually. They'll realize it takes time. Not everyone's so dialed in this sense, so sometimes they're not as self-conscious as you'd hope for them to be, so they don't even realize how they're behaving is wrong until after the fact. You know, it might even take a couple months or whatever. So just, like I say, have empathy, show respect. Don't lower yourself to that level where you start reacting to it. Just keep moving forward, keep it moving, keep it pushing. Who cares? Doesn't matter anyway. What does it matter? All it is like a reminder that you're basically on the right path. It's like another person's demons that I'm irritating. But that's it. It is like dealing with infants in a way. So you've got to just see it for what it is and not react to what's happening too much. Obviously, if you've got to check someone, then check them. But always remember that they aren't inferior to you. They're not inferior to you, but they're not as conscious of causes of their own actions and thoughts, what effects they might have. They're not as conscious as you might be, you know. So you got to understand that they're kind of like children in a sense. You just got to be patient and respectable and still respect their own energy and their space and everything, just, you know, for your own sake really, so that it doesn't fuck up your game more than anything. But like I say, if you've got to check someone, check them. Use your own criteria as well. But that's it. They will come round eventually. They will come round. Usually when it's too late, it doesn't really matter anyway. And they'll sometimes they'll apologize, or they might not even acknowledge it, but they'll realize, and they'll even be ashamed of how they behaved, but they won't acknowledge it. You know, they won't. It takes a lot of overcoming your own ego to actually admit that you were wrong in a certain situation. So you just gotta accept that people aren't gonna be accountable for their own actions, and they're even gonna blame you for things like silly things that don't matter at all, but they'll use that thing as an excuse for why they behaved in a certain manner to deflect what's really going on. But that's it. So be patient. It's always a win-win when you're coming from a place of love thy neighbor. So even though they are behaving terribly, maybe, you got to understand that they might not be in their sane judgment, and they're behaving in that way because they're mistaken. We all make mistakes, and sometimes they're mistaken, and the root cause of the behavior that they're having is a mistaken cause, and they don't understand. They're not able to recognize that they're mistaken. So their starting point is a mistake already, and from there they're completely misreading the situation or not understanding the amount of responsibility that's actually on their shoulders for their own outcomes. Just don't take it personal. Don't let it get to you. When you understand this as well, it doesn't really matter, you know. You just you can let things go a lot easier. And it's not coming from a place of superiority either. It's just understanding. I understand my own thought process, so I understand your thought process, and I understand that you're not in your sane judgment, really. Because anyone in their sane judgment doesn't willingly choose negativity, trying to make someone not feel good in certain situations. I can understand you're stressed out or whatever, but a lot of times that's not even the case. So knowledge is power, and this is where the power lies, in the knowledge. But in this context, you know, and when we're talking about people that are not quite as versed in certain psychological aspects, basically, in dealing with these types of people, you got to learn about yourself. That's going to help you advance out of what the average person would advance if you take all factors into consideration, like environment, genetics, etc., etc. That's, like I'm saying, knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the more power you'll have. And if you put the power and the knowledge into action, that's when you start seeing good results. But not everyone's going to be happy about that. And that's why I say protect your energy. Really, what you want to do is not react to the situation. So when these things happen, just don't react. At least not negatively. Just let it go. Doesn't matter, you know, they're attacking your ego or whatever. Who cares, really? It's just silly anyway. And it always, in my experience, it always comes back round to bite them in the ass for having behaved like that, and they always end up ashamed of it. So just let it go. Honestly, that's the best way, because then you nip it in the bud. You don't make it any bigger, at least, you know, because you'll always feel bad for reacting. If you react to that situation, come back with your own negativity, it only amplifies the negativity. It's like a drop in the puddle, in the pond. You drop a stone in the pond and the ripples are negative ripples. If you also drop your negative stone in the pond, the ripples are going to amplify each other. Do you know what I mean? They're going to join together eventually, and it's going to be bigger. Whereas if you don't drop the pebble in the pond, the ripples will only be of that other negative person. Beware of the person that doesn't strike you when you struck him, because neither does he forgive you, nor does he let you forgive yourself. which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, really, because you don't really want someone to be feeling guilty for the rest of their lives for having behaved a certain way. But at the same time, that lesson will never leave them. So maybe it is a good idea to not react, and then that lesson will stick with them for the rest of their lives, and how they fucked up with you when all they had to do was snap out of the negativity. But I guess it's easier said than done sometimes. You got to protect your energy to the point where it's literally positive vibes only is what you let in. Positive vibes only. And hear no evil, speak no evil, and see no evil is unbelievably wise. It's even at this stage of my life where I'm 35 years old and I've been through, 35 years of life, I still think surprisingly how wise it is and how simple it is. It's amazing. Yeah, you should really take that one on when you're protecting your energy. Try and always remember positive vibes only. That's it, man. When you start to really understand the value that you have as a man, not trying to sound cliche or anything like that, but just the value as someone that believes in himself and what you have already achieved and what you can achieve if you just hold on to these ideas for a certain period of time, you start having less and less tolerance for people that are not resonating with it, basically. They're not aiding in your trajectory. If they're being basically dead weight, you just don't have any tolerance for that kind of person to at least be someone that has access to you on a personal level. You can still talk to them, I'm not saying you just completely act like you don't know people now because they're not believing in your vision. That's fine, that's understandable. Not everyone's going to believe in the vision until you've accomplished it. You're going to be the crazy guy to a lot of people. That's fine. It's most important as well is that you believe in yourself. That's it. It doesn't matter what other people believe. But at the same time, when people are actively trying to hinder your progress or get in your way, they're the types of people you need to understand that they're not rooting for you. And if they're not rooting for you, or if they're on the fence, they get the minimum opportunity, a little bit of leeway to go against you, they will. They're the types of people you need to not let in your life on a personal level. And that's good advice, man. That's something that you want to hold close to your heart, close to your chest, just understand that you can get along with people fine. It doesn't mean that they have to be that you have to allow them into your life now. You got to protect yourself, man. You got to protect your energy. You got to protect your life, because it's like I say, man, sometimes these people, they're not even conscious of the kind of sabotaging that they would do if they had the half an opportunity. You got to even watch yourself, don't even trust yourself, because certain temptations, certain things that get put in your way might sabotage you yourself. You might sabotage yourself. So you really want to not trust anybody, and not even yourself. But that's in the sense of like not putting temptation in the way. You still have to have strong morals and strong values, have integrity, but also certain temptations, certain situations, you just don't want to put them within reach. It's better to just avoid it completely.